On the evening of June the 17th, 2000, a 20-year-old woman named Anna pulled into the driveway of her modest home, which she shared with her husband and 2 children in suburban Boston. It had been a taxing day for Anna at the home remodeling business where she worked as a receptionist. Now that she was finally home, the thought of preparing dinner for her family seemed daunting. After turning off her car, Anna sat in the driveway for a moment, lost in thought as she gazed out the window. Eventually, she roused herself, gathered her belongings, and stepped out of the car, making her way to the front door. As soon as she entered her home, the stresses of the day melted away, replaced by a wave of happiness. The sound of her 4-year-old son, Liam, giggling uncontrollably greeted her ears. Anna made her way to the back room, where she found Liam and her husband, James, engaged in a playful wrestling match on the floor. Their 1-year-old daughter sat nearby, joining in with laughter and clapping. Upon seeing Anna, James paused for a moment, flashing her a grin before resuming their playful antics. Anna returned the smile, feeling a profound sense of contentment wash over her. It was moments like these that made her grateful for her loving family. With a smile adorning her face, she headed to the kitchen to prepare dinner, feeling truly blessed. Life had recently taken a financial toll on the James family, exacerbated by the escalating expenses in their city. James, 3 years older than Anna, worked as a mechanic but had been unemployed for months, opting to stay home with their children. But Anna worked as a receptionist, though her earnings were meager, leaving the family just barely getting by. Despite their financial strain, Anna remained grateful for James' exemplary care of their children, particularly Liam, her 4-year-old son from a previous relationship. Initially concerned about James' acceptance of Liam, Anna was relieved to see him step up and embrace fatherhood wholeheartedly. Liam, in turn, viewed James as his dad, forging a bond as strong as any biological relationship. That evening, the family gathered for dinner before Anna and James ushered the children off to bed. Afterwards, they settled in to watch TV together, but Anna soon retired to bed, leaving James to stay up a while longer. They exchanged kisses and goodnights before Anna headed upstairs around 10:45 p.m. About 15 minutes later, as Anna lay in bed drifting off to sleep, she heard the front door open, followed by the sound of their car pulling out of the driveway. Anna recalled James' mention earlier in the evening of visiting his mother, intending to drop off some paperback books. Assuming that was the cause of the noise, she dismissed it and drifted into slumber. The next morning, Anna woke up at 6 a.m. and rolled over, only to find James absent from the bed. While not immediately alarmed, as James often rose early, Anna couldn't shake a sense of unease. She rose from bed, heading to the window to check the driveway for their car, expecting James to be downstairs. However, to her dismay, the driveway was empty, prompting a surge of panic. Descending the stairs, Anna searched the house, finding no trace of James. With growing concern, she dialed James' mother, hoping for reassurance. When his mother confirmed James wasn't with her, and hadn't even planned to visit, Anna's worry intensified. The 40-mile journey from their house to James' mother's involved a hazardous highway, a route James routinely traversed without much concern. Both Anna and James' mother silently contemplated the possibility of James being involved in a car accident heading to his mother's house. Sensing Anna's distress, James' mother advised her to stay calm, assuring her she would retrace James' route in search of him. She swiftly made her way to her car, accelerating towards Anna's house along the familiar route. However, halfway into her journey, a sight greeted her that struck fear into her heart. Flashing blue and white lights ahead, she noticed crime scene tape stretching across the entire road, a heavily forested area on either side. Traffic congestion had amassed on both ends of the road, signaling a significant disruption. James' mother feared the worst. Her son might have been involved in an accident at this very spot, and she, pulling over, parked hastily, rushing towards the nearest police officer to inquire about the situation. Behind the officer, smoke billowed from the forest, indicating a fire raging below. Despite the officer's attempts to deter her, James' mother pushed past, straining to see the source of the fire. To her horror, she spotted a car engulfed in flames, evidently having careened off the road. Frantically, she questioned the officer, desperate for information about the car's occupants. The officer urged her to remain calm, explaining that they were still investigating and hadn't yet identified the individuals involved. Unable to endure the uncertainty any longer, James' mother hurried back to her car, circumventing the police barricade and racing to Anna's house. Upon arrival, both women were in a state of hysterics, sprinting to the police tape blocking the scene. Peering down towards the burned-out car, Anna recognized its shape amidst the charred remains. Strewn around the vehicle were partially burned paperback books, likely the ones James had been carrying to his mother's house. As Anna processed this grim realization, firefighters managed to access the vehicle, confirming the presence of a body in the driver's seat. The combination of the bodice size, the burnt books, and personal effects such as a prized Harley-Davidson pin left no doubt the victim was James. As news of James' death spread, Anna's neighbors and friends in the city sprang into action. Anna was beloved in the community, a kind-hearted woman who, while somewhat socially awkward, had found newfound confidence and happiness since marrying James. His sudden departure from her life was devastating for everyone who knew her. Quickly, the community rallied, raising $1,000 to support Anna and her children. Neighbors began delivering food and stocking their fridge with groceries, despite Anna's lack of appetite due to overwhelming grief. Though she couldn't eat, Anna appreciated the gestures of comfort during such a difficult time. While the community offered support, police began probing the circumstances of James' fatal crash. Anomalies at the crash scene raised suspicions. The absence of skid marks suggested James hadn't braked before veering off the road, and the intensity of the fire that engulfed the car raised questions about its origin. Furthermore, James' body had been severely damaged, indicating a fire of unusual ferocity. Investigators soon uncovered evidence suggesting foul play, traces of lighter fluid in the car's front seat and James' lungs, indicating he was deceased before the fire started. It appeared increasingly likely that James had been murdered, and the car accident staged to cover it up. Interestingly, suspicions about James' death weren't met with surprise in the community. Despite Anna's admiration for him, many in the city harbored animosity towards James, known for his volatile temper and penchant for picking fights. Even at his funeral, his closest friend openly expressed relief at his passing, underscoring the prevailing sentiment. Investigators delved into James' background, searching for individuals with motives for harm, given his contentious relationships within the community. And very quickly, investigators discovered something. Just 10 days before James was found, he had pleaded guilty to sexually assaulting a 7-year-old girl, yet the sentence he received was remarkably lenient, just 30 days in jail, which he had yet to serve, along with probation. Understandably, the father of the victim, the 7-year-old girl, was incensed by James' light sentence. In fact, a couple of days before James' demise, the father had issued a threat against him. Investigators promptly located the father and brought him in for questioning. However, the father vehemently denied any involvement in James' fate, despite his animosity toward him and the threat he had made. Moreover, the father provided a solid alibi, corroborated by evidence. Consequently, although many investigators viewed him as the obvious suspect, they reluctantly accepted his innocence and allowed him to depart. With the father no longer under suspicion, the police found themselves back at square one. Thus, they opted to approach Anna and inquire whether she might have any insights into who else might have harbored ill intentions toward James. In their previous conversations with Anna, the police found her to be incredibly polite, yet simultaneously very upset about the death of her husband. However, this time when investigators showed up at Anna's house, and she ushered them into her kitchen for a discussion, it seemed as though a different Anna emerged. The shift occurred the moment they broached the topic of who might have harmed her husband. Suddenly, Anna appeared impatient, indicating she had no time for such inquiries. Eventually, she simply suggested, "You know what? I think James was depressed because of the impending prison sentence he didn't want to serve. Perhaps he took his own life. That's what I believe happened. Now, I need you guys to leave." The officers, rather than contesting her statement, departed without protest. However, as they sat in their car afterward, exchanging glances, both officers agreed that Anna's behavior was highly suspicious. It led them to consider the possibility that she might possess more knowledge about James' demise, and was attempting to conceal it, prompting the police to retreat. Over the ensuing weeks, as the investigation into Anna unfolded, a considerable amount of evidence emerged that further fueled their suspicions. Notably, there was James' $110,000 life insurance policy, to which Anna was entitled. It was discovered that Anna had been incessantly contacting the insurance company, urging them to expedite the payment. Moreover, Anna had been openly expressing her anticipation of receiving the money to individuals in the town. Additionally, police learned from Anna's neighbors that she had already begun dating again just 3 weeks after her husband's death. She was actively involved in the dating scene, even bringing one of her boyfriends home to live with her and her 2 kids. According to Anna's babysitter, this new boyfriend's presence in the house greatly upset Liam, the 4-year-old who had been particularly close to James. The babysitter noted that Liam, who had previously been very calm when James was alive, now exhibited violent and emotional behavior. Occasionally, he would abruptly stop, gaze up at the new boyfriend, and scream, "I love you, Daddy." When the babysitter expressed concern to Anna and suggested getting help for Liam, Anna became angry, dismissing the matter as none of her business, and slammed the door on the babysitter. Despite the increasing suspicion surrounding Anna's behavior, there was no concrete evidence linking her to James' death. Consequently, in the fall of 2000, several months after James' demise, with the case still unsolved, and no clear indication of how he died or ended up in the fiery scene by the roadside, the police decided to reinvestigate Anna's involvement. They were determined to uncover any evidence linking her to James' death, and thus opted to place a surveillance team on Anna around the clock. Initially, the undercover police reported that Anna's behavior appeared remarkably routine. She followed the same daily pattern, getting up, seeing to her children, going to work, picking up her kids from the babysitter, returning home to feed them, and then retiring for the night, only occasionally deviating to run errands after work, such as going to the grocery store. However, on December the 3rd, 6 months after James' death, Anna finally broke from her established routine. On that day, Anna made a stop in a parking lot near several local stores, on her way home from work. After parking her car, she exited and instead of heading into one of the stores for an errand, she approached a dark-colored Mustang parked nearby. Anna engaged in conversation with the occupant through the window. At some point, she began to act suspiciously, glancing over her shoulder as if to check for observers. She then circled around the car and entered the Mustang, closing the door behind her. The two of them subsequently drove off together, prompting the undercover police officer to tail them. Eventually, the Mustang, with Anna and the man inside, pulled into the parking lot of a Taco Bell fast food restaurant. They exited the vehicle and casually entered the establishment, ordering food and sitting by a window to eat. While the undercover officer hadn't observed any incriminating behavior thus far, the significant departure from Anna's routine raised suspicion, prompting him to request backup from another undercover officer in the surveillance team. The two officers, dressed in plain clothes, arrived at the parking lot and casually entered the Taco Bell. While in line, one of the officers subtly scanned the room, ostensibly looking at nothing in particular but, in reality, assessing Anna and the man she was with. During this observation, the officer noticed something unusual about the man that Anna was seated with, something he hadn't observed from a distance. Upon this realization, he signaled to his partner, indicating that they needed to intervene. The officer discreetly prepared himself, placing his hand on his concealed weapon, and then approached their table, abandoning any pretense of being undercover. When he reached them, both Anna and the man looked up in surprise, but the officer focused his gaze solely on the man, ignoring Anna for the moment. The peculiar thing the officer noticed when he glanced at the man was that he recognized him. This individual was James Daniels, Anna's supposedly dead husband. James had significantly altered his appearance, dyeing his blonde hair black. It emerged that Anna and James had orchestrated his death to evade a prison sentence for a sexual assault charge, and to cash in on a $110,000 life insurance policy. The body discovered in the burnt-out car was not James. It belonged to an 81-year-old woman, whom James had exhumed from a remote cemetery, placed in his vehicle, and then set ablaze with lighter fluid. Consequently, there were no skid marks on the road, as the incident was meticulously staged. Following the staged death, the plan initially succeeded, with people believing James had perished, albeit under mysterious circumstances. However, after 3 weeks of separation, James and Anna could no longer bear to be apart. James altered his appearance by dyeing his hair black, and moved back in with Anna and the children. Thus, the new boyfriend, seen by neighbors, was actually James himself, not a series of new dates as previously assumed. Liam, James' 4-year-old stepson, recognized his father's return despite the change in appearance. Anna and James convinced Liam that James was a new boyfriend named Arthur, which likely contributed to Liam's behavioral disturbances, as he sensed something was amiss, but couldn't comprehend his parents' deception. The motive behind Anna and James' clandestine meeting, in the parking lot inside James' Mustang, followed by dining at Taco Bell, remains unclear. Nonetheless, this covert rendezvous ultimately led to their apprehension. Both Anna and James were charged with insurance fraud, to which they pleaded guilty. Anna received a 20-year prison sentence, while James was sentenced to 30 years in prison, with an additional 20 years for probation violations. Anna has since been paroled, while James remains incarcerated. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Your support means the world to us. Remember, you can also leave your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and stay awesome. Bye for now.